Hey everyone, it's Andy. Do you know the feeling you get when a complete stranger's been hiding in the trunk of your vehicle all day long without you knowing it? No? Well, I do. This is the complete true story about how in 2019 a complete stranger hid in the trunk of our car the entire day while we were using it. And as an added bonus to you, you're going to pick up some tips on how to know when somebody's been hiding in the trunk of your car. So I did some quick internet research to figure out how common of a problem is this that people have strangers hiding in their cars. I quickly found out it's not common at all. In fact, it's about as likely as Arnold Schwarzenegger becoming pregnant. What's that? He did?
I just felt a kick.
Does anybody else remember that movie besides me? It all started Monday morning, the week of Thanksgiving, 2019. My wife enters the house from dropping my son off at the middle school, and she proceeds to not so calmly tell me that she thinks a stranger is hiding in the trunk. As a perplexed look came over my face, she continued the story and explained to me that the trunk opened and closed multiple times on the way to middle school, and she had no idea why. It was freaking her out so much she decided to pull the cart off to the side of the road and beg my middle schooler to go out and to check the trunk and to close it. The only problem was when he stepped out of the vehicle, went around to the trunk, and as he was about ready to touch it, it magically slammed closed on its own. He was totally freaked out, got back in the car, and they raced to the middle school where everybody was dropping off their middle schooler, so there are a lot of people around for safety. Katrina comes home and tells me the story, and me being the understanding and supportive husband that I am, tell her that's nuts. Nobody's in the trunk of the car. The trunk latch is broke or something. So I walk out to the car to investigate for myself, open the driver's side door, and I press firmly on the trunk release button, and nothing happens. The trunk's broke. That's what I think, at least. So I gather the rest of the kids, pile them in the car, and I take them to school, and the car sits in the parking lot all day long while I'm at work and the kids are at school, just like a typical day. Fast forward to the end of the school day, the kids and I pile in the car ready to go home like any average day. And we go on the road. We come to a stoplight that's pretty close to home in completely full traffic. And the music's going on. There's about 2 conversations going on in the car. My 6-year-old is playing Made You Look with whoever would play the game with him. And all of a sudden, boom, we hear the trunk slam. I glanced over my shoulder to take a peek at the trunk, and to my surprise, and forgive my judgment, I see a pretty sketchy dude walking away from our vehicle, waving his arm or something and possibly mumbling something, which I couldn't make out. Puzzled, I thought he helped shut the trunk, of which I was having problems with, so I kind of gave him a puzzled wave of thanks, and we continued on our way. What a nice guy, right? So we continue on our merry way home, all exit the vehicle safely, and I quickly get distracted with all the things I have to do that evening and the rest of the week because it's Thanksgiving week, and we don't actually get to fixing the trunk until Friday after Thanksgiving. So I grab my 3rd grader because he's the only one small enough to wiggle in the back of this trunk as I drop the back seat of the car. I give him a screwdriver and a flashlight, and I tell him to take the screwdriver into the latch release, and I'm going to press the button in front to see if it releases. As my 3rd grader was wiggling back to the back of the trunk, I saw something on the trunk that caught my eye. Number 1, it was a cell phone, not ours. Number 2, it was a driver's license, you guessed it, not ours. Number 3, an opioid recovery program business card, not ours. And chapstick, that might be ours. There was somebody living in our trunk. And that nice gentleman who shut my trunk in the intersection on that Monday afternoon, he did shut it, but he shut it because he came out from inside the trunk in full traffic and hopped up on the sidewalk. So when I presented the items to Katrina, you can imagine she was a bit beside herself, as I was too. It took a moment for all this just to sink in. Needless to say, we called the cops and they arrived within an hour. When we went to the trunk of our car and we opened it up eventually, it looked like this. So the fine gentleman who was hiding in our trunk was somehow able to dismantle and disconnect the lock actuator so that we could not press the button for the trunk release in the car or use our key fob to unlock the trunk. Now, this leads me to one of three conclusions. Number one, he Googled how to do this in the trunk of the car. Number two, he's worked at a trunk repair shop. Number three, this ain't his first time in somebody's trunk. And for the sake of sanity, I choose choice one. Besides having the sense of being completely violated, you may be asking yourself listening to the story, why did it take a cell phone, a driver's license, and a business card for me to finally connect the dots that somebody was in our trunk, even though we had all those little facts for the entire week? But I think something in my brain played a pretty major role in preventing me from understanding what was really going on. It's called the availability bias, and it's in all of our brains, and it's a shortcut that our brain uses to arrive more quickly at decisions. So what it does is it looks back on past events that we may know about of the likelihood of something happening. So it kind of takes the easy route, but it's not always the truth. And in my case, the easy route was thinking, I have never had any experience with somebody being in the trunk of my car, nor have I ever heard of it happening to anybody else. So the likelihood of somebody being in the trunk of my car, according to my experiences and past cases that I've heard about, is pretty much close to zero. Now, I'm sure you have a couple of questions about this story, and I'm here to fill in some of the gaps, I hope. Question number one is, where did this guy come from? So we're 2 houses in from a pretty busy street, and our end of our driveway sees plenty of turnarounds every week. So there might have been an altercation in a vehicle. He either got kicked out of the car or willingly got out of the car, wandered down our driveway, found his way into our garage, out of it, maybe looking for a place to sleep off whatever he was dealing with, and eventually found his way into the trunk of our vehicle. Next question, no. There was no urine in the trunk, thankfully. We were real happy about that one. And yes, we now have installed security cameras monitoring our driveway. And no, we did not Google this fine gentleman's background information because we had his driver's license. I think it's a lost cause. Would you sleep any better at night knowing the background information of somebody who's been hiding in the trunk of your car? I don't think the results can be that promising. And yes, dispatch did gasp when I told her this story of the person hiding in our trunk. So to sum it up, that is our family's creepy story from Thanksgiving week 2019. Let's check those trunks every once in a while, right? Stay safe. Anyway, happy trails. Thanks for watching.